Ministers assume duties at their new ministries today.
බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ මාධ්‍ය මර්ධනය කියන වචනයවත් පාවිච්චි. මාධ්‍ය තරංගකාරීත්වය මම බලාපොරොත්තු.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාට අය රකින්න ඒක නෙමෙයි ලංකාව වලට ජොන්ස්ටන් බර්නාන්ඩෝ ඉන්නවා කියන එක විතරක් මම.
Samagi Janabalawege announces their national list. Tisat Nayaka and Imtiaz Bakir Makar to receive a seat in parliament. Crisis within the Our Power of the People party intensifies. Decision on the national list seat further delayed. Secretaries appointed to 25 cabinet ministries, including 4 military seniors.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's start off with your local news. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa engaged in religious observances in Anuradhapura today.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa paid his respects to the Jayasree Mahabodhi in Anuradhapura earlier today. The Prime Minister then engaged in religious observances at the Ruan Valley Saya in Anuradhapura. He obtained blessings from the chief incumbent of Mirisavatia, Venerable Itala Vatunuwave Janatilaka Thera.
මහින්ද කියන්නේ දේශපාලනයක් මහින්ද කියන්නේ ෆිලොසොෆි එකක් මහින්ද කියන්නේ මේ
Mahinda is a politician. It is a philosophy. Mahinda is a culturally important person in the country. Therefore, is a complete figure just like a religion. Therefore, learn from this example. There are 28 kilometers of the Moragaha reservoir. However, they are below the earth. If we can do this project, we won't have to provide water to the other side from Iranamadu. We have to make way for that due to the central government and the provincial councils. This is all that is remaining. The canals run from here. They have estimated that a project will cost $750 million. If this is done, we can cultivate 150,000 acres of land. If we can do it, it will be of utmost importance.
Prime Minister Rajapaksa, who arrived at the Anuradhapura Jayanti Mahaviharaya, obtained blessings from its chief incumbent, Venerable Dr. Nugetenne Panyananda Thera.
The noble task that you undertook is a great chapter in the country's history. The people are grateful. Regardless of who attacks you, the people didn't accept that.
The appointment of 25 new secretaries to ministries took place this evening.
Dr. Anil Jasingha, who served as the Director General of Health Services, has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Environment. Retired Admiral Professor Jayanath Kolambage has been appointed as Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In addition, 3 senior military officers have been appointed to secretarial positions. Retired Major General Kamal Gunratna has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Defence. Retired Major General A.K. Sumedha Pereira as Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture, and Major General Sanjeeva Munasinghe as Secretary to the Ministry of Health. The Cabinet Secretary and Secretaries to the remaining Cabinet Ministries are as follows: R.W.R. Premasiri, Ministry of Highways; S.R. Artigala, Ministry of Finance; J.J. Ratnasiri, Ministry of Public Services, Provincial Councils and Local Government; Jagat Vijay Veera, Ministry of Mass Media; Ravindra Heva Vitarana, Ministry of Plantations; Anura Disanayaka, Ministry of Irrigation; W.A. Chulananda, Ministry of Industries; Vasanta Pereira, Ministry of Power; S. Hettiarachchi, Ministry of Tourism; R.A.A.K. Ranavaka, Ministry of Lands; U.K. Mapa Patirana, Ministry of Labour; R.M.I. Ratnayaka, Ministry of Fisheries; M.K.B. Harishchandra, Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation; N.B. Monty Ranatunga, Ministry of Transport; Dr. Priyat Bandhu Vikrama, Ministry of Water Supply; J.M.B. Jayawardena, Ministry of Trade; Anuradha Vijayakon, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports; KDR Olga, Ministry of Energy; Professor Kapila Pereira, Ministry of Education; Sirinimal Pereira, Ministry of Urban Development and Housing. W.M.D.J. Fernando has been appointed as the Cabinet Secretary.
Meanwhile, several cabinet ministers assumed duties at their respective positions today.
Minister of Mass Media Keheliya Ramukwella assumed duties at the ministry in Kirulapana today.
People have high expectations. It has come to a point where the people believe that no one else will be able to fulfill those expectations if the president cannot fulfill them. I don't even intend on using the words media suppression. I expect media competition.
මාධ්‍ය මර්ධනය කියන වචනයවත් පාවිච්චි. මාධ්‍ය තරංගකාරීත්වය මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Pavitra Vaniyarachi assumed duties as the Minister of Health at the auspicious time of 9 a.m.
I responsibly state that the Ministry of Health will continue to serve the country while maintaining transparency and use people's money cautiously for their betterment.
Minister of Education Professor G.L. Piris assumed duties today. Former Minister Dallas Salahapirma was also present at the event.
I urge all of you to work together with us. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa requested us to fulfill our responsibilities properly while he fulfills his. There are 10 proposals the government approved to reform the education system of our country. I believe you will wholeheartedly put those proposals into action. A new teacher starts with a small salary of 31,000 rupees. The cabinet decided to fulfill our responsibility at this budget.
New Minister of Water Supply Vasudeva Nanayakara assumed duties at the ministry in Palavatta today.
The water board, together with the Department of National Community Water Supply, will provide water to every single person in the country within 4 years.
Minister of Tourism Prasanna Ranatunga assumed duties at the auspicious time of 6:45 a.m. at the ministry in the World Trade Center.
We are hoping to work in a manner to maintain the people's trust. We ask every one of you to help us in serving the nation.
The new Minister of Highways, Johnston Fernando, assumed duties while laying the foundation stone for the proposed tunnel opposite the Maliyadeva Vidyalaya in Kurunegala. The estimated cost of the project is 55.8 million rupees. Kurunegala Mayor, officials of the ministry and several others attended the occasion.
I will not attack anyone else. I made one particular statement and now everyone is talking about it. I made that statement when a politician was criticizing the mayor. I'd like to remind you that Johnston Fernando will be there for anyone who protected and strengthened Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2015.
Johnston Fernando ඉන්නවා කියන එක විතරක් මම මතක්.
Minister of Trade Bandula Gunawardena assumed duties at the ministry today.
I have already obtained the cabinet approval to draft a national trade policy. We believe that we will be able to make it a reality. I am hoping to use this ministry to take on a good trade path while making policy decisions for the betterment of our country.
Meanwhile, several state ministers assumed duties today. Dr. Sudarshini Fernando Pulle assumed duties as a state minister of prison reforms and rehabilitation at 10:30 this morning.
We will work towards eradicating all illegal activities taking place inside prisons. Many prison inmates have been prisoned for committing minor offences and incapable of paying bail. We will study this matter further and try our best to release such inmates as soon as possible.
P.L. Nishantha assumed duties as the State Minister of Women and Child Development, Preschool and Primary Education, School Infrastructure and School Services amid religious observances at his ministry premises today.
We must create a society where children will learn to love and respect their parents. I believe that all ministry officials will extend their support in making this endeavour a success.
Sanat Nishantha assumed duties as the State Minister of Development of Rural and Regional Drinking Water Supply Projects this morning at the Ministry of Water Supply in Palavatta.
President Rajapaksa recently said that every single individual in the country will have access to drinking water within the next 5 years. The President's target is to provide water to everyone within the next 5 years. But my target is 3 years.
Dr. Nalaka Godaheva assumed duties as the State Minister of Urban Development, Coast Conservation, Waste Disposal and Public Sanitation at the ministry premises in Bathramula today.
The 19th Amendment to the Constitution created several issues in the country. Therefore, we must change this. The 19th Amendment must be abolished immediately when the new parliament is convened.
Lohan Ratwatha assumed duties as the State Minister of Gem and Jewellery at his ministry in Narahempitiya today.
I was not expecting this ministry. However, upon the request of President Rajapaksa, I accepted this position. I hope to carry out my duties without engaging in any unethical practices. To be honest, I was expecting the state ministerial position for highways, but I was given something else. However, I will carry out these responsibilities that have been vested in me.
D.V. Chanaka assumed duties as the State Minister of Aviation Services and Development of Export Zones at the Ministry of Tourism today.
I hope to create many jobs in the country and provide employment to the youth of our country. Creating jobs will not only provide employment but also boost economic development in the country.
Now, various views are being expressed regarding the swearing-in of the new cabinet. These were some of the views expressed by the Samagi Janabalabeke.
If the beginning is not good, the end will never be good.
We have heard that if the beginning is not good, the end will never be good. The people have voted for a two-thirds majority to manufacture a cabinet out of teak, satin or nadun. However, it is the Minister of Brass, Clay, Chili, Rice, Coconut and Palm who are in the cabinet. There is a reasonable doubt as to whether they have hoodwinked the majority who voted for them. Finance is handled by Mahinda Rajapaksa. The defence is handled by Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Sports and youth affairs by Namal Rajapaksa. Basil Rajapaksa handles state expenses while Samal Rajapaksa releases funds for irrigation and agriculture. Think about it. This is why they wanted a two-thirds majority. I do not wish to offend our Minister of Water Supply, but he is 81 years old. The Minister of Education is 74 years old. The Minister of Irrigation is 71 years. Although they have a two-thirds majority, have they appointed at least one professor to the cabinet? They said a new cabinet would be formed, but they have allocated subjects for cane, brass, chili, onion and tomatoes. What sort of a joke is this? We do not want to attack the government as they have just come into power, but we can't avoid telling this as well. The beginning is not good. If the beginning isn't good, the end will not be good as well.
Lunu, ala, takkali, මොකද්ද මේ වීඩුව? අපි ආණ්ඩුවක් පටන් ගත්ත ගාම ආණ්ඩුවකට ගහන්න කිසිම උත්සාහයක් නැහැ. නමුත් මේ කතාව නොකිය බෑ. The beginning is not good. ආරම්භය හොඳ නැත්නම් අවසානයේ කිසිසේත් හොඳ වෙන්නේ නැත.
මේ ඇමති මණ්ඩලය හරියට විමර්ශනය කරද්දී 2015 මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයත් එක්ක හිටපු 53 දෙනාටම තමයි සලකලා තියෙන්නේ.
When we analyze the composition of the cabinet, we can observe that 53 people who worked with Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2005 have been treated well. I wish to thank Gotabaya Rajapaksa for giving the Ministry of Clay to the right person. Their main objective is to abolish the 19th Amendment. That is to pave the way for Basil Rajapaksa, who is a US citizen, to enter parliament and then give him a ministerial portfolio. The person who said that money is being brought through shops has been elected. Sunil Handuneti, who explained how money reaches the country, is not in parliament. For the person who said that money is being brought in through ships, Mahinda has given him the Ministry of Ports and Shipping. We should tell the people that we are not afraid to fight on behalf of them.
අපි කියන ජනතාවට බලන් ඉන්න. හැබැයි ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් අරගල කරන්න අපි ණයත් නැහැ, බයත් නැහැ.
The United Socialist Party expressed these views regarding the newly elected cabinet of ministers.
The cabinet took oaths and so did the Prime Minister. However, did they act following the country's constitution? In one way, the swearing in of the cabinet and Prime Minister goes against the constitution. Even though they were elected to parliament after securing a seat at the election, they did not take oaths as a member of parliament. In other words, we have a cabinet of ministers and a Prime Minister who did not take oaths as a member of parliament. As per the current constitution, the President cannot hold a ministerial portfolio. However, President Rajapaksa now holds the position of Minister of Defence. Instead of changing the current constitution, they are further strengthening the executive powers of the President and paving the way for an autocratic system. This is a very dangerous situation.
ගල් රෝලක් වගේ සියලු අදහස් සමතලා කරගෙන යන ගමනකට මේ යන ලෑස්ති වෙන්නේ.
Now, the Foundation for the Protection of Public Rights made a request from the cabinet today.
When ministers are appointed under new governments, what is the first thing that they do? They remove all furniture, starting from office chairs and appliances, and purchase new ones. This culture must be stopped immediately. Please stop the culture where ministers purchase new equipment and display their portraits in ministries. The photograph of the minister does not have to be displayed in the ministry. There are only a few ministers and parliamentarians who are new to office. The others have received vehicle permits from previous governments as well. Therefore, please stop issuing them new permits. Stop these permits and use those funds to resolve the problems faced by the people. We wish to request the President to do that and implement a proper work plan.
Trade unions expressed the following views regarding the newly appointed cabinet as well.
4 state ministers have been appointed to the Education Ministry, while G.L. Peiris has been appointed as the minister in charge. There are 5 subjects in the Education Ministry. The Ministry of Women and Child Development and Preschool will be taken to Set Siripaya, while the Education Ministry is placed at Isurupaya. That would mean that some employees at Isurupaya will be transferred to Set Siripaya. The unit that designs the subject is on one end, while the other unit overlooking teachers is on another side. Now the Internal Affairs Ministry has been brought under the Defence Ministry. Divisional Secretariats and District Secretariats are under the Internal Affairs Ministry. This mechanism was under the Public Administration Ministry. The Registrar General's Department, Department of Registration of Persons, Department of Immigration and Immigration, and the National Council for Disaster Management are civic institutions. As a trend, army officers were appointed to the Public Administration Service. Even in previous governments, an army officer was appointed to the Trincomalee District Secretariat. The same was done in Vaunia. That situation must not arise. There are people holding positions in Sri Lanka Administrative Service. In the health service, we repeatedly saw that some officers have not conducted themselves in a manner in which a collective service should operate. They conduct themselves based on their profession. We consider the position of Health Secretary as a very important one. That is because it is a position of Health Secretary that allows professionals who are not in the medical field to make independent decisions in the hierarchy. Some newspapers have reported that the president of the Government Medical Officers Association is being considered for the post. We don't have a personal issue with him. As trade unions, we don't feel that this is an independent decision.
Venerable Alle Gunavansha Thera is a religious figure who was in the forefront to bring the present government into power. This was his advice to the newly elected cabinet amid the presence of ministers Dinesh Gunawardena and G.L. Peiris.
The new cabinet must remember that this is a government we formed after much effort. The people voted for you, and therefore you must serve them and ensure their hopes and expectations will be fulfilled. We will closely monitor each and every ministry. We will scrutinize the manner in which the ministers and state ministers carry out their duties. The people cannot suffer forever. I believe the new cabinet will bring relief and happiness to the public.
The Our Power of People party has not been able to resolve the crisis pertaining to its nationalist parliamentary seat. A group of party candidates from the Galle district began a hunger strike today demanding the nomination of Venerable Galagoda Atte Gnanasarathara to the post. Meanwhile, Party Secretary Venerable Vedinigama Vimala Thissathara, who is in hiding, has claimed that a frontline party member named Venerable Arambepula Ratnasarathara has been attacked after being abducted.
Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera and Venerable Galagoda Atte Gnanasarathara have expressed willingness to be nominated to the party's nationalist parliamentary seat. However, this decision has been delayed as the secretary of the party is still in hiding. The secretary to the Our Power of People party, Venerable Vedinigama Vimala Thissathara, said that the party activist Venerable Arambepula Ratnasarathara have been abducted and attacked based on this incident.
A team belonging to the party president had entered the temple strategically and had abducted him. He was in hiding at a temple in Colombo. He has informed the others that he was even attacked by Gnanasarathara. We can't say whether these incidents involve other party members. We can observe that there are several groups within the party. The influence of the state minister might also be present.
අපේ ව්‍යාපාරයේ ආරම්භයේදීම කඩාකප්පල් කිරීම සඳහා නීතිඥයෙක් සහ මේ අනිත් සියලු දෙනා
We know that there is a group including a lawyer who have acted to sabotage our campaign from the beginning. There is a lawyer named Sumudu from Vattala. We hope to file a case against him. It was the president of the Our Power of the People party who brought him. I thought that when people like me and Gnanasarathara are brought forward, our party would receive more money. I assumed that if we spend at least 100 million, we would be able to win 6 seats easily. I regret that we were unable to spend at least 10 million. Some tried to obtain this position through thuggery. Some people are making a fuss about it. However, this matter would be resolved only by the country's law. The first or second parliamentarian appointed to the national list by Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera can be nominated to the seat. The country must clearly understand that according to this agreement, it is only Athuraliya Ratanathera who can nominate a person to the national list parliamentary seat. I spoke to Gnanasarathara on 3 or 4 occasions. He said that the party members are asking that he be appointed to the post and that he needs the seat.
ඥානසාර ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේත් එක්ක අවස්ථා 3-4ක් කතා කළා උන්වහන්සේ කිව්වා මේ පිරිස ඉල්ලා හිටින උන්වහන්සේ නිසා උන්වහන්සේට පත් වෙන්න ඕන කියලා.
දැන් අපි හඳුරන්නේ මේ ඥානසාර හඳුරෝ හමු වෙච්ච වෙලාවේ වහන්සේ ඉල්ලුවා ධම්ම බුදු වහන්සේට ජාතික ලයිස්තුවේ මන්ත්‍රී ධූරය අවශ්‍යයි කියලා.
I said that if I am appointed to the nationalist seat, I will be able to use my experience. However, I did not ask for the seat. In the first discussion, our group, including Gnanasarathara, agreed that if we did not win a single seat, we would appoint Athuraliya Ratanathera to the nationalist seat.
භික්ෂුන් වහන්සේලා විදියට මේ ආකාරයෙන් එනකොටා ගැනීම කැපද අපේ හාමුදුරනේ.
කැප නැති කොච්චර දේවල් වෙනවද? මේ රහතන් වහන්සේලාගේ සමාජයක් නෙවෙයිනේ.
The Our Power of People party's Galle district candidate Randika Athukorale began a hunger strike today demanding that Venerable Galagoda Atte Gnanasarathara be appointed to the national list. He gathered the public by singing songs before the hunger fast.
වේදනියකම ආම්තුරෝනේ මේ ඔබ කරගන්නේ මහා පාප කර්මයක් මේක ආනන්තරීය පාප කර්මයක් අද ඥානසාර ආම්තුරෝ රතන ආම්තුරෝ දෙන්නම ඔයගොල්ලෝ බෙදලා තියෙනවා කණ්ඩායම් දෙකට මම කියන්නේ බෙදෙන්න එපා එකතු වෙන්න මැතිවරණ කොමසාරිස්තුමනි 67758ක ජනතාවගේ පරමාධිපත්‍ය බලයට මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා දැම්ම තීන්දුවක් ගන්න නාම යෝජනා සංකරණ තිබිච්ච සමගිය බැලට් පේපරේ ඡන්ද ටික ගණන් කරනකොට තිබිච්ච සමගිය අදකෝ මම්මගේ උපවාසය මෙවැනි ස්ථානයේ ඥානසාර හාමුදුරුවෝ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට රැගෙන යනකම් කරනවා.
According to the current situation, I can't name another person. If Ratanathera is allowed to do this, then it would be sorted out as he formed this party. They are impatient until the nomination is made. If the law is implemented properly, my name should be gazetted. According to the law, I should receive this position. After I enter parliament, I am thinking of sacrificing this seat for Ratanathera or Nanasarathera amidst the crisis in the party. Meanwhile, the Samagi Janabalawege officially announced its Nationalist MPs today. The Nationalist MPs of the Samagi Janabalawege are General Secretary of the Samagi Janabalawege Ranjit Madduba Mandara, National Organizer Tissat Nayaka, Harin Fernando, Imtiaz Bakir Marka, Eran Vikram Ratna, Mayantha Disanayaka and Diana Gamage. The list of Nationalist MPs was handed over to the National Elections Commission this afternoon.
Four parties supported us. They themselves said that if we are to nominate members from those parties, members from all four must be nominated. We must ensure that our alliance will represent the entire country. The current composition represents the north and the east and the entire island.
Leader of the Samagi Janabalawege, Sajid Premadasa, arrived at the Sri Isipatanarama temple in Colombo 14.
Sajid Premadasa, who engaged in religious observances, held cordial discussions with Mahasangha, including the chief incumbent. Sajid Premadasa then inspected the nursery located at the temple. He then listened to the issues voiced by the people at the temple. Sajid Premadasa was later welcomed by the people at the Navagampura Sri Dharma Vijayarama Viharya. Following religious observances, Sajid Premadasa spoke to the Mahasangha at the Viharya.
අද රට විරුවන්ව අමතක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ලක්ෂ ගණනින් අන්ත අසරණ භාවයට පත් වෙලා සිටින්නේ මේ අන්ත අසරණ භාවයට
We have now forgotten those who work overseas. Thousands of people are now helpless. I request to pay attention to these brothers and sisters and awaken the embassies and stand up for the rights and grievances of these people.
දුක කඳුල වේදනාවට එයාගේ අතිවාසිකම් වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටින්නේ කියන යෝජනාව මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ.
Meanwhile, the group of former United National Party parliamentarians met at Sirikota today. The meeting was held under the patronage of party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe. Former parliamentarians Tilak Marapana, Ruwan Wijewardena, Palitha Rangi Bandara, Ravi Konanayaka, Arjuna Ranatunga and Sagar Ratnayaka were among those who attended the meeting. Matters concerning the party's nationalist representative and the leadership had been discussed during the meeting.
The Prime Minister informed us about yesterday's discussion. Various views were put forward. To decide on the party leadership using the views that were put forward, it was decided to forward these opinions at tomorrow's working committee meeting.
ජාතික ලයිස්තු මන්ත්‍රී ධූරය පිළිබඳ හෙට දිනේ තමයි මේ නම් කරලා අවසන් කරන්න දෙනවා. දැන් සමගි ජන බලවේග දීලා ඉවරයි. ඔබතුමාලා තාම ප්‍රමාදයි. මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ?
That's not an issue. There are two methods. We can either send a name or the election commission has the authority to appoint the first person on the national list to the post.
ඒ වගේම දැන් නායකත්වයේ පිළිබඳ තියෙන 4 දිනක් 5 දිනක් නම් කරලා තිබුණා. ඊයේ දිනේත් ඔබතුමාලා කවුරුත් නම් කරේ නෑ. එතකොට රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාද දිගටම නායකයා? අපි නායකයා මේ මාරු.
We haven't said that the leader is going to be removed or changed. Those who are eyeing the post of leader have put forward those names.
කරලා තියෙනවා. එච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ.
ඒ අරින්න නායකතුමා කියලා නෑ ඉවත් වෙනවා කියලා.
මට කිව්වේ නෑ.
ඒ කියන්නේ මහලේකම්තුමා එදා ප්‍රකාශ කරපු ඒ හතර දෙනාගේ නම් හතර එතකොට
ඊට වඩා තව
There were some other names as well. We will choose the best one out of them. Tomorrow we will hold discussions on rebranding the party and taking it on a new journey.
ගමනක් යන ඔක්කොම සාකච්ඡා කරනවා හෙට.
Tensions arose at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to probe into incidents of political victimization today. This was over an interview given to a local weekend newspaper by former Solicitor General Suhanda Gamlat on the legal status of the avant-garde-owned vessel the MV Mahanura.
Counsel appearing for former Director General of the Bribery Commission Dilrukshi Dayas Wickramasinghe questioned Suhanda Gamlat on what basis he had made comments to a weekend newspaper to claim his client had carried out her duties under political duress. In response, Suhanda Gamlat said he made such a comment based on the telephone conversation said to have taken place between Dilrukshi Dayas Wickramasinghe and avant-garde chairman Nishanka Senadipati, which was widely publicized by the media. However, counsel for Dilrukshi Dayas Wickramasinghe noted what was released to the media was a tampered audio recording, adding his client had stressed on the need to release the full audio recording to the general public to understand what transpired. President's counsel Kuera de Zoiza, appearing for avant-garde chairman Nishanka Senadipati, noted the relevant audio recording can be handed over to the Presidential Commission on Inquiry on a future date. However, added that as it is a conversation of serious nature, it could be harmful towards Dilrukshi Dayas Wickramasinghe. He further said that as it could be harmful to his client, the recording would be handed over to the Presidential Commission on a later date. Former Solicitor General Suhanda Gamlat said privacy laws need to be drafted, adding making public a private conversation between two parties inconveniences the other party. He said Dilrukshi Dayas Wickramasinghe had failed to protect the confidentiality of the Bribery Commission when she was serving at the said institution. Former Solicitor General Suhanda Gamlat said when he attended an event at Temple Trees, Dilrukshi Dayas Wickramasinghe too was in attendance, in addition to a large number of politicians, government officers and military heads. He noted that he had attended the event upon the instructions of the then Attorney General. The former Solicitor General said summoning officers from the Attorney General's department as well as government officers to Temple Trees to inquire about cases is a violation of the law and that legal associations were silent about it at the time. Thereafter, former Additional Solicitor General Vasantha Navaratna Bandara alleged individuals are engaged in the process of political bootlicking to secure positions and benefits. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry strongly voiced its objection towards the comment. Chairman of the Commission, retired Supreme Court Judge Upali Aberatna, strongly warned Vasantha Navaratna Bandara to refrain from using such language within the Commission. The Commission Chairman added Vasantha Navaratna Bandara would be arrested on the charge of obstructing the proceedings of the PCOI and would be produced at the Court of Appeal, therefore urged the senior officer to conduct himself appropriately. Vasantha Navaratna Bandara alleged Suhanda Gamlat needed to release those from avant-garde from the cases filed against them based on the deals with the avant-garde businessmen. President's counsel Kuera de Zoiza, appearing for avant-garde chairman Nishanka Senadipati, objected, and this resulted in another heated conversation at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Vasantha Navaratna Bandara went on to note Suhanda Gamlat had an urgent need to file cases against Gotabaya Rajapaksa and several others regarding the avant-garde matter. Vasantha Navaratna Bandara revealed that on the 22nd of January 2015, Suhanda Gamlat had presented him with the file prepared by the Attorney General's Department on the avant-garde matter and said it was the ideal time to file a case against Gotabaya Rajapaksa and several others. He said Suhanda Gamlat on multiple occasions had claimed he was not in good terms with Mahinda Rajapaksa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Basil Rajapaksa as he was removed from the post of Secretary to the Ministry of Justice. However, Suhanda Gamlat rejected all these allegations at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Further examination of the matter will take place on the 28th of August.
Meanwhile, China's civil aviation regulator has decided to suspend flights of 3 airlines to Shanghai, including Sri Lankan Airlines. The step has been taken after passengers who traveled to China on board flights operated by those airlines had subsequently tested positive for COVID-19.
Xinhua news agency quoting China's civil aviation regulator said 23 passengers who travelled to China on board UL-866 aircraft operated by Sri Lankan Airlines had tested positive for COVID-19. Moreover, 3 passengers who were on board Etihad Airways flight EY-862 which flew to China on the 3rd of August, and also 6 passengers on board a China Eastern Airlines aircraft which flew to Shanghai on the 5th of August had tested positive for COVID-19. Xinhua news agency revealed, in light of this discovery, Sri Lankan Airlines flights between Colombo and Shanghai will be suspended for a month. Flights of the 2 other airlines have been suspended for a week. According to China's current policy, passenger airlines will be allowed to operate 2 flights per week to China if no passengers test positive for COVID-19 for 2 weeks consecutively. Furthermore, according to China's new policy, if 5 passengers are found to be infected with COVID-19, flights to China operated by the particular airline will be suspended for a period of 1 week. If the infected number is above 10, flights will be suspended for a period of 4 weeks. Newsfirst inquired regarding the matter from Sri Lankan Airlines. According to Sri Lankan Airlines, several passengers who were on board flight number UL-866, which travelled from Dubai to China via Colombo, had been infected with the virus, adding the infected passengers had not boarded the flight from Colombo. Certain passengers who were subject to PCR tests in Dubai had tested positive for COVID-19 when entering China.
The Times of India reported today that the officials of the Indian High Commission in Colombo confirmed that the Sri Lankan government had initiated the process to send blood samples of the parents of the organised criminal Maddumage Chandana Lasantha Pereira alias Angoda Lokka to Tamil Nadu.
A man found dead in Coimbatore on the 3rd of July has been identified by local police as Angoda Lokka, a most wanted criminal in Sri Lanka. The DNA to be extracted from blood samples of his parent will help ascertain the identity of the deceased by cross-matching that with the one collected from the body. The Times of India, citing sources, reported that the blood samples were collected from Angoda Lokka's father, Maddumage Lionel Pereira, and his mother, Chandrika Pereira, for DNA testing. Angoda Lokka, who was residing in Coimbatore city as Pradeep Singh since 2018, is believed to have moved to Balaji Nagar in February 2020. Investigations revealed that the gangster had undergone plastic surgery to alter his facial features to conceal his identity. Meanwhile, it was reported that an officer attached to India's Criminal Investigations Department who was involved in the investigation had tested positive for COVID-19. Subsequently, the team completed its first phase of inquiry and left Madurai on Monday night, and the team members who worked closely with the member who contracted the virus are now undergoing self-quarantine.
Meanwhile, an individual has been arrested for illegally manufacturing weapons in Varasmulla. The arrest took place during a raid carried out by the Tangol Police Special Task Force. The illegal weapon factory has been operating for a prolonged period of time in Wattahenegoda, Varasmulla. Police said 2 locally manufactured weapons known as Galkatas and T-Katas have been seized during the raid. 11 bullets, 3 empty bullet casings and other material used in manufacturing weapons have been recovered during the raid. Preliminary investigations have revealed that the suspect had sold manufactured weapons. The suspect was produced before the Varasmulla Magistrates Court today. Meanwhile, a man and his spouse were arrested with several packets of heroin in Palanvatta Piliyandala yesterday. The arrest was made during a raid carried out by Colombo Crimes Division. The suspects have been identified as 23 and 21-year-old residents of Piliyandala. Police said 28,500 rupees that were earned through the narcotic trade, 2 mobile phones and a motor vehicle were seized during the raid. Investigations have revealed that the drug racket had been manipulated by a prisoner and that the suspects were involved in distributing the narcotics. Police said the suspects would be detained and interrogated for 7 days.
Police opened fire at a vehicle suspected to have transported a group of people who robbed an apparel shop in Pugoda near the DS Senanayaka College in Medigama today. A group had arrived at the apparel shop and attempted to carry the stolen goods in sacks to the vehicle when people at a fuel station located close by had shouted. Our correspondent said that the group had left the bags of stolen goods and left. The Pugada police have then chased the vehicle and took steps to inform other police stations in the vicinity as well. The police have opened fire at the vehicle and the suspects have fled the area. According to the police, investigations have revealed that the vehicle was from Thambutegama. Police added that a team has been deployed to conduct further investigations into the incident.
The final rites of the late Professor Dhammika Ganganath Disanayake was held at the Borella Cemetery today. At the time of his demise, Professor Disanayake was 62 years old, a father of two.
Professor Dhammika Ganganath Disanayake, who once served as Sri Lanka's ambassador to Japan, had passed away while receiving treatment at the Maharagama Apeksha Hospital. Professor Disanayake, who had served as the head of the Mass Communication Department at the University of Sri Javadanapura and also as the chairman at some state media institutions, rendered a yeoman service to the media industry. Earlier today, his remains were laid at his residence in Mattegoda. A large number of people arrived at the residence to pay their last respect. Religious rites were observed at his residence with the participation of the Kotte Sri Kalyani Samagri Dharma Mahasangha Sabha Mahanayaka and the Chancellor of the Sri Javadanapura University, Venerable Dr. Ittapane Dhammalankara Thera. Professor Praneeth Abesundara recollected a few memories of the late Dhammika Ganganath Disanayake.
He has taught us about variations and rhythm in a great manner. This aesthetic figure has now embarked on his final journey. He associated cordially with the Catholics, Hindus and the Muslims. He is a great personality who showed love and won the love of many, who has bid his final goodbye to us.
A tribute penned by senior journalist Lal Hemanta Mawalage was delivered by the late professor's relative Chatrapani Piyasena.
You always carried an umbrella in your hand. You are a unique person. The handle of the umbrella was made of a black material. It was a big umbrella. Usually an umbrella is black. White umbrellas are rare and so are multicolored umbrellas. The umbrella you carried consisted of several colors. It was a painting itself. That was your life. Many used large umbrellas as a cover and built their careers. It is a great umbrella. The bad weather did not change its shape. It is for the first time that this umbrella had collapsed. We don't have to thank anyone on behalf of you. We are all your friends, colleagues and relatives. You are a person who owes nothing to your motherland and family. It is difficult to bid goodbye to you. Let us meet again at some point.
The funeral cortege moved towards the Borella Public Cemetery for the final rites to be conducted.
The Inland Revenue Department has imposed a mandatory tax on foreign workers employed in Sri Lanka without a Sri Lankan citizenship.
According to a notice published by the Inland Revenue Department, the advanced personal income tax would be mandatory for foreign workers in Sri Lanka who earn more than 3 million rupees within a year. When the advanced personal income tax was imposed in April this year, it was optional for resident workers and mandatory for non-resident Sri Lankan workers. However, the notice published today said that the tax must be levied from the 1st of April this year to all resident but non-citizen employees as well. The tax authority instructed employees to deduct the tax from resident but non-citizen employees who had not given their consent since the tax was introduced. According to the IRD, the computed tax must be paid on or before the 15th of August. The notice read that the tax would not be mandatory for workers who are dual citizens and hold Sri Lankan citizenship.
That's all for tonight. Take care and good night.